Hello, everybody. That was quick. This is Real Talk, Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy. And joining me tonight from the Fins Talk Sports Network, our friend, Greg Miney. Greg, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How you doing, Steve? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. It's always great time when we have you on the show. Man, what a game this past week. We dominated this game against the Buffalo Bills. We beat the Buffalo Bills 30-13. And as I got in the title of our show tonight, Achane went off the chain on the Buffalo Bills. But we'll talk about Achane a little later on. I know you had some stuff you wanted to talk about as far as Achane goes. But let's talk a little bit about the well, we released the Miami Dolphins organization. I think they did something right for a change. They released two of their player personnel, and I have their names here, and it's Adam Ingroff, who had been with the organization for 26 years, and Anthony Hunt, 32 years. He's been with the organization, so those guys are gone. And if you want to count Chris Greer, that's three in the front office that have been dismissed thus far this year. As far as the front office goes and all that stuff, I think we're on the right track there. Now let's see what Ross does. Is Champ Kelly going to be the permanent GM? And is Mike McDaniel going to be with us next year? And Tua Tagovailoa? Those are the questions. How do you feel about those two director of personnel that were released this week?
It definitely feels like somebody's putting their stamp on this team, right? All three of people that have gone, in the front office, starting with Greer and plus the two player, personnel people, have been with the organization since before Ross bought it. All right. So, so it feels like somebody's putting their stamp on this franchise now. The question I have is, who is it? Is it Ross cleaning house? Is it McDaniel with knowledge that he's going to stay, putting his fingerprints all over this? Is the new intern GM, basically feeling like it's his job, or he's been told it's his job, and he's putting his stamp on the organization. So I don't disagree with letting them go. At some point, 25 years of not going to winning a playoff game, people who have been here that long have got to go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
There's been no success here with them in those positions. So let's try something new. But yeah, I'm just wondering who's directing all of this? Who is the one making the decisions on this? Is it Ross?
Yeah.
Is it the GM? Is it the head coach? And who knows? But I agree with it. We need to get fresh ideas, fresh thoughts in the personnel department, in the scouting department, at GM. I am all on board with that. I'm just curious who's making the decisions.
Yeah, me too. And that is a question mark that I have in my mind too as well. I see Finn Sammy's in the house. Finn Sammy, folks, go over there to the Fins TV network. Finn Sammy's got a great cast of characters over there talking Dolphins football. I see I can never pronounce this guy's name. DSG Label. Maybe I got it right. Appreciate you for joining tonight. I appreciate everyone that's in the chat joining tonight. And as you're coming into the chat, please hit that like button. And then if you're new to the channel, whatever platform you might be looking or watching the show from, come over here to the YouTube channel, Fins Talk Sports Network, Real Talk Fins Talk. Hit that subscribe button, share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. Yes, Finn Sammy, you will see me tomorrow. I forgot to mention that. Thanks for reminding me, Fins. I will be on the Fins TV podcast tomorrow night with Finn Sammy and Eddie. we're going to talk the Washington Commanders. We're going to preview that game. So go over there, watch that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time on and check that out. Should be a great show. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Greg. I think it definitely we need to clean out that front office, and I think we're on the right track there. But let's talk a little bit about the Buffalo game. We beat them, we dominated them, as I said, 30-13. Defense played very well against Josh Allen in the offense. I think the biggest difference of this game that made the difference of this game and us winning was Josh Allen's those two fumbles, Josh Allen's fumble, Cook's fumble, the interception, and he just couldn't find anybody open, even though he was running around back there in the pocket. He just couldn't find anybody open. And I don't know if that's because of our defense was just, covering these wide receivers like a blanket or what it was. But they just couldn't get anything popping. I know the tight end, I think it was Knox. I think it was Knox or Kincaid. I get that mixed up. One of the two did get hurt and go out of the game. So I wasn't sure on that. But how are you feeling, Greg, about this victory? Are you ready to say Miami's on a roll here and we're a better team than, let's say, we were the first few weeks of the season? Have we improved? Have the players improved? I know, in my opinion, I feel that the coaching, we outcoached the Buffalo Bills. What say you, Greg?
I don't know if we outcoached them or not. I'll say this, okay, and as a former coach, as somebody who played at the Division III level, and like I said, nowhere near the professional level or anything like that, Buffalo was flat. Okay, they came out flat. They had a big game the week before against Kansas City at home. It was a big game. It was an emotional game. They were flat. Okay, it happens, and Miami took advantage of it. All right. As far as out coaching or anything like that, I think Anthony Weaver is getting better production out of the rookie defensive tackles now. They're growing up. All right. They're playing better now than what they did at the beginning of the year.
Right.
We saw some plays out of cornerback, in the defensive secondary that we hadn't seen before. Melifanu made a play who he hasn't made one all year. Okay.
Right.
Now I would argue that it was less of anything that he did, more of Josh Allen just missing a throw. Okay, it is what it is. When you're on defense and you create 3 turnovers, okay, you're doing your job. And Miami's defense basically kept Miami's offense in the game. All right. And people are going to look at me and they're going to say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, which is fine. But for the most part, I don't think Miami's offense played that well. All right.
Interesting.
They scored 17 points through 3.5 quarters. Okay. They weren't dominating really anything. They hit a big play to Waddle, which was great. Okay. I am all for Tua taking a chance with Waddle one-on-one without a safety help. Okay. Deep. I have no issue with that whatsoever. The 2 interceptions, McDaniel comes out and says that he told him to throw the ball long. You still don't throw it coverage. Okay. I'm sorry. You're still a professional quarterback. You can't do that. All right. But if there's a single high safety and Waddle's one-on-one, take a shot. No issues with that whatsoever. Okay. They ran the ball okay. And again, people are going to come back and say, "Oh, just okay." Well,
Greg, Achane ran for 225 yards total.
Yeah, 225 combined yards. Okay,
yards. Yeah, total.
his two big runs were basically bad defensive plays. All right. You know, Donald did that to us when he at Carolina. Okay.
Mhm,
Did we say
mhm.
how great of a game Donald had, or did we say that Miami's defense wasn't great and Miami's defense made mistakes? Okay. It's
Yeah.
the way I look at this game and the way I look at what Buffalo did, it's the same thing. All right. On the first one, the unblocked defender, Miami's offensive line blocked it pretty well. All right. They got Achane to the hole untouched.
Right.
And in the hole, the unblocked defender missed the tackle. It wasn't anything special that Achane did. He missed the tackle. That got Achane into the second level, and then Achane being Achane. All right. He
Mhm.
hasn't done that, but maybe once or twice the entire rest of the year in the middle of the field in an inside run. Okay.
Right.
Was
Right.
able to put this one off for 59 yards, touchdown. Nice play. All right. Bad defense. The second one was basically, a defender not filling the gap the way he was supposed to. Okay. I,
Mhm.
again, we talked about this early in the year when Miami's defenders weren't filling the gaps appropriately in the run game. All right. Achane basically went untouched. Okay. It wasn't great blocking, it was bad defense. All right. And up until that point, up until the first big run, Miami was only up 16-6 halfway through the fourth quarter. All right.
Yeah.
Wasn't a great offensive output. We scored 30 points on two big runs on defensive mistakes. You can say we took advantage of those mistakes. I'm all good with that. But I mean, Achane had what? I was just looking at it before the show. He had 18 carries against Atlanta for 67 yards. Okay. He had 22 carries against Buffalo, but he broke off the big runs, so it looks really good. Against
Yeah.
Baltimore, he had 14 carries for 67 yards. All right. He didn't carry the ball significantly more in this game than the other games. It's just the defenses made worse plays. The offensive line didn't all of a sudden start blocking better. The defensive just didn't make plays, right? So overall, you take wins, you beat Buffalo, you beat the hell out of them. I'm happy with it. It was great, but let's do a little reality check here. It's not that they played that much better. Okay, they didn't. Defensively, they played better. Okay,
Yeah.
offensively,
Yeah.
it was basically the same stuff that we had been seeing. There were a couple other little wrinkles here and there. But for the most part, it was the same game plan. And the one thing I will say about HN and what McDaniel is trying to do, okay, is once you get HN in space, he's a special player. Okay.
Yes.
No doubt about it. All right. He is a
Yes.
special player in space. Defenses have been trying to funnel him inside, and as an inside runner, he hasn't found that space. All right.
Mhm.
He hasn't created that space. He's not like a Saquon Barkley who can make somebody miss in a phone booth, per se, and then take it out the back door. All right. This was a guy, we used to call it ostriching. All right. He basically buried his head in the ground and didn't look where he was tackling, and HN stopped in the hole and he flew by, and then he started up again and got into space and outran everybody. That's what HN can do. But
Yeah.
he doesn't do that often enough in the inside run game to be considered among those upper echelon players. And if you look,
Gotcha.
some of the grading systems in the league basically didn't even have HN as a top 10 running back this week.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because
I think that's weird.
he didn't really do anything special. All right. I mean, the other players created opportunities. In a way, HN was just given opportunities and he took advantage of it. It's a subtle difference as to how you grade players, but I understand it.
Gotcha. Interesting perspective. And I'm glad I see the Backup Bench podcast. JB's in the house. Appreciate you joining, JB. Make sure you go check JB out on the Backup Bench podcast. This past week he had John Offendahl on his show. He always does really great interviews with ex players for the Miami Dolphins and coaches and things like that. If you want to go watch a great episode with John Offendahl, if you all of you remember who he was, linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, go check that show out. He does a great job over there. Let's see, what does Raphael say? Raphael said, to be honest, I would what?
You would have said Achane before the last touchdown. He's worried
Oh
about the
yeah,
workload. Yeah.
right.
I'm worried about the workload too, Raphael.
Yeah, me too. That's something that that I've been talking about all, the beginning of the year before we even played one game is I was concerned with Achane because of his size and getting overworked. And so far, he hasn't been injured. So knock on wood. I guess I'm wrong on that. I thought he'd get hurt, if with all these carries and things, but he seems to be holding up and he seems to be durable for his size and everything. And in fact, I wanted to bring up one stat, Greg, and I think you'll like this. It's not a pushback. It's just a stat that I happen to see. Actually, this year, Achane has been a lot better. I know you've brought this point up before when it concerned Barkley and I think Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
After contact, Achane has 634 yards after contact this year.
No, he is playing a lot better this year at running back than he did last year. All right.
Yeah.
And he is I haven't looked at his yards above expected this year yet, but I'm going to say they're probably pretty good because of his after contact yardage, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, there are running backs who are better at it than him, but he has improved significantly in that area. Look, it sounds like I'm dumping on Achane. I'm not. All right. I'm just saying that, he's not that top 5, top 7 running back in the league because he is a little bit still constrained. All right. As to what he can do. He is a space runner, not necessarily an inside out runner. You watch him and Jonathan Taylor run, you see a big difference. All right. So and that guy's playing phenomenal this year as well.
Oh yeah, he is.
The last time I looked, I think he had close to 1,000 yards or something like that after contact.
Yeah. 1,000 yards after contact.
Yeah.
Wow, that is crazy.
He is on a crazy, stupid stat line right now that's going on. So
we better watch out. He may get 2,000 yards rushing.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. He is going to get close to that. I mean, he's got some nuts, and like I said, I'm not dumping on Achane. I like Achane. Yeah. All right, he's somebody that you want to keep on the team. He's somebody that you want to build around. Yep. But you also 100%. Need to have a complement to him as well, and I think that's where we need to be. At some point we got to find that complement.
Well, I think to be fair, Ollie Gordon still had that ankle issue, so that's why he didn't see a lot of the field probably this past week against Buffalo. We got Jalen Wright. I mean, I know everybody was saying, "Oh, he's going to have a breakout season." He was, projected to have a breakout season, but it's never panned out. But I think he's a good complementary back to Achane along with Ollie Gordon, run by committee, right? I think we have some good young running backs there. we got the bruiser in Ollie Gordon. We got Jalen Wright, who's he's a good. He's not a power back, but he's a good physical back, and he's quick, and he can get you some yards too. At least that's my opinion. Greg, let me ask you this: do you? Yes, thank you, Raphael. Raphael
Yeah.
says Taylor
Yeah,
has 1,139 yards.
yeah, I
Wow.
might have been confusing his stats there a little bit, but yeah, he has a bunch of after contact yards as well. I mean, just a
Yeah.
bunch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
having a really, really good year.
He really is. He really is. Let me ask you this, Greg. Do you think that that this offensive line has gotten better since the beginning of the year? Have you been watching Jonah Sevenaya? Has he improved, or has he kind of consistently been just bad?
Well, for Seven Eye, let's put it this way: he could only go up. All right, he was that bad at the beginning of the year. He's
Mm-hmm.
getting better, but he's still not anywhere close to being good or average.
Yeah.
I'll say it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
I really don't like his feet. His feet put him in a bad position a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I'm going to say it this way, okay? The interior five offensive line to me has been pretty consistent in
Mm-hmm.
the way they've blocked all year. All right.
Yes.
The big difference in the run game, all right, to me has been putting in the sixth offensive lineman as a person to secure an edge. Okay.
Broad skill. Yeah. Run
Brunskill.
skill.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What has happened a lot in Miami, especially before he got in there, was that our tight ends were not we're not protecting the edges. Okay.
Right. Right.
So they would allow the outside edge players to basically make plays, whether it was inside or outside or out, running down a play or something like that, because
Mm-hmm.
they just weren't that good. All right. Brunskill as a
Mm-hmm.
sixth offensive lineman is a better blocker than, probably 98% of the tight ends out there. Okay. So he
Yeah.
is doing a better job on that edge. And what that's allowing for us to do is it's allowing our running backs to find the holes better, especially in the zone concept. Okay.
Yeah. And Brunskill used to be a tight end.
Yeah, look, he was a tight end who couldn't catch that they turned into an offensive lineman essentially, all right, who then
Exactly.
bulked up and then was able to be a backup offensive lineman, all right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so but for a successful running game in today's NFL, you have to secure the edge. You have to secure the defensive line or the edge people on it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can no longer not block them and try to run away from them because they're all so fast that they'll catch you. Okay. And
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
and in a zone scheme, if you're not hitting the hole at 100%, you're waiting to see where the hole develops and then cutting and exploding through it. Okay. That
Mm-hmm.
allows the edge people on the defense to basically make plays as well. So you have to secure the edge. You have to have a tight end that can secure the edge. You have to have the six offensive
Mm-hmm.
linemen that secure the edge. When we put them in there, it got a lot better. The running game got a lot better
It did.
because
Yeah.
of that part of it. Not necessarily because the interior five, but because of that part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed that for sure. He has helped out a lot, and putting that sixth man in there definitely has helped out a lot. Um, Brewer has been having a really good year, so we got a good center in Brewer. I don't know if he's going to be here next year. I don't think he has any guaranteed monies. I think this is the last of his contract, last year of his contract. Not sure if they're going to sign him up again next year. I know, and the same goes for Achane. Achane is off his rookie deal next year. So what are we going to do? Are we going to sign him? Are we going to trade him for assets? I don't know. And as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, you said he's a piece, a player that you want to build around. And I have a, I definitely agree with that. I'd love to see. I like Achane. I really do. I like him a lot as a running back. Um, I like Waddle, but again, I think Waddle will probably be here next year. You know what's funny, Greg, and I got to throw this out there because I'm a little biased. The three the three best players on the Miami Dolphins football team, as far as the offense goes, is Jalen Waddle, Patrick Paul, who has come on really well this year. Right, I had question marks on him at the beginning of the year, but he's filled in really good the shoes of Terron Armstead. Not a Terron Armstead, not yet, but he's improved immensely. And then you've got Achane. Both of those, all three of those players are from the Houston Texans, the Houston, Texas area where I'm from. Well, not where I'm from, but where I'm living now.
Where are you living at now? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm living at now. Isn't that something? It's kind of weird. But
you have pockets of areas that produce really good players, and Houston's one of them. Houston,
yes,
the Houston area has got some phenomenal high school football. Oh, some phenomenal
100%.
athletes coming out of that area.
They really do, and it's Jalen Hurts. He's from the Houston area. The thing is, Mahomes is from Tyler, Texas, not from Houston area though. Yeah. But the thing is I don't know if you've been to Houston, Greg, but some of these high school football stadiums look like professional NFL stadiums. That's how serious they take their football here in Houston.
No, no, I've seen some of the. I've yet to go to a live game in the Houston area, but my brother lives in Sugar Land.
Right.
So and so I've been by some of these high school stadiums going, what the hell? All right, these things are massive, right? And I've watched high school football from Texas on TV, and I'm just blown away by it. So it's a thing.
Yeah, they take it serious. They're well organized. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to the offense. So do you think? Let's see. Do you think that the Miami Dolphins should draft? Let's go into the draft a little bit next year. Do you think they should draft another lineman, say, to replace Austin Jackson? Because I doubt if he's going to be here next year as well. Do you think they should draft another tackle? And are you confident that this O-line will improve, including Jonas Savaiinaea? And do you think, or would you be happy with the line that we have now going forth next year?
Yes.
Would you like to see improvement? You would.
I look. I'm always interested in improving. All right. If I can find a better player, I would definitely be interested in that. But I don't think that this O-line is holding the offense back either. All right. The biggest weakness on this offense to me right now is you need another wide receiver and you need a tight end. You need a tight end that can play. They keep cycling in these tight ends that, they'll make one catch in the game and, all of a sudden, hey, we got our tight end back. And I'm like, no.
I know.
Just it's kind of one play, right? And while I like what they are what some of the cornerbacks are doing now on defense and things like that, it would not hurt my feelings to take another cornerback high. I just think that it's going to be necessary. And Darren, Adrian, I love you, but I want a dual threat tight end, somebody that can block a little bit and catch, make plays downfield. There's a handful of those people in the league right now, and Miami needs to get one of them. Darren Waller can't block. Darren Waller couldn't block me and you, Steve. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you this: I don't think Darren Waller will be here next year as well. In fact, there's a lot of players on our defense, especially. They're under 1-year contracts, and if people think those Brooks he may not be back next year. He's a question mark, right? As good as well as he's playing now. Grant you, a lot of the tackles in the first of the year, the first of the season, they were behind. They were way out back in the backfield. So he is playing better though. They're playing better up front. I think it's a coincidence we got rid of Jalen Phillips. Traded Jalen Phillips, and then all of a sudden now the pressure from the defensive front is better. So I don't know, but is that a coincidence or do you think Jalen Phillips might have held him back? I don't know. What do you think, Greg?
Um, Jalen Phillips is going to be a nice player. All right. I think he drew too much attention in Miami. I'll say it that way. And up in Philadelphia, he's going to be solo block more. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's going to be, even though on Monday night against Green Bay, they were chipping him there toward the end of the game because of some of the pressures and stuff that he was getting throughout the game. But they got a complimentary defensive line that's going to free him up. Yes. I'm just not sure that Miami had that defensive line to do that with him here. So, but I will say this, by Judon playing opposite Chubb, okay, yes, that did help our run defense. Judon's a better run defender than Phillips is, in my opinion. Phillips can get after the quarterback now because Judon, he's on the wrong side of 30. So he's slowed down a little bit, but he still plays the run pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Phillips didn't play the edge very well. He was out of position a lot of times for some reason.
Yeah, and part of it is I think he was just trying so hard to make a play because there were, somebody had to. That you know what I mean, where he was, he was making mistakes that were uncalled for because he was trying to do too much. So but no, I like if Chop Robinson comes back. I don't know if he's cleared protocol yet. I had not heard.
I haven't heard either.
But I would still think that Judon is going to be playing a little bit more on the edge as opposed to Chop because, again, Judon's better at the stopping the run.
Yeah, he's a bigger athlete too. He's a bigger guy too. So I think that helps. That helps. And the veteran, he's a veteran. He has more experience. That's a good question. I don't know if Chop is back for this game or not this week. Although I don't think it's going to be a big deal because I feel that the Miami Dolphins are going to win this game pretty handily this week. Of course, I'm going to be wrong this week, but at least that's the way I feel anyway.
We're after a win like that, the hopium runs the wild. You know what I mean? Just flowing, free flowing, and everybody's all good, right?
Oh yeah, I mean JJ Britz is an All-Pro. I mean, according to some folks, he's an All-Pro already. He had one good game. And he's an All-Pro already. That's the way fans are, though. I get it, absolutely. and we should be happy. We should be happy that our players, beat Buffalo of all teams. I know a lot of our fans are not too crazy about Josh Allen. Who doesn't like to beat Josh Allen, right? So I'm real happy about the win. I really am. But I'm with you, Greg. I've got to come back down to reality. The hopium was really high when we won, but now towards the middle of the week here, it's back to normal, and it's time for another dose of reality. So I don't think we're going to be making the playoffs this year, although a lot of folks have us, we're going to go on a run, all this kind of stuff. We might go on a small little mini run. I think it's possible that we could do that. Especially, you got the Saints coming up. Of course, we're going to play the Commanders next week. And then we've got Pittsburgh. Yeah, the Jets is another one. We could probably win. Although it's a divisional game and it's in New York,
In New
MetLife
York,
Stadium,
yeah.
and it's going to be wintertime. So we don't handle that too well. So, but I think it's possible. I know I said at the beginning of the year I projected 8 and 9 would be realistic, and right now that's looking about like if we go on a little run and we could get to 8 and 9 if everything goes well. We play, we have no more injuries. Uh, we play both sides of the ball. We play complementary football. Yeah, we could probably get up to 9, maybe 9 and 8 or something like that. But more than likely, right now it's looking like 8 and 9. But I wouldn't be surprised uh, if we go six. We get 6 or 7 wins. So this year is pretty much washed, man. I mean, what what we're looking for this year is I just want to see some of these young folks. I want to see the way that they progress and the way that they play and look, we've already started off on the right track by letting go Chris Greer. That was our biggest culprit for some of us. And so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about the two other folks that we released, the player personnel directors. So we're on the right track there. Um, how are you feeling about Mike McDaniel, Greg? Have you changed your perspective on him since this win against the Buffalo Bills, or you think he's still the same guy?
I think he's still the same guy. I didn't see a well. I didn't see a whole lot of difference in the offense. All right, I mean, they handed Ingold the ball on a short yardage play. Okay, wow, that was we hadn't seen that in a little bit, right? We moved Tua outside of the pocket a little bit, which was a little bit different. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Um, some people are pointing to being able to run play action as being a factor in this game. Looking at the film again and watching it, it didn't play as big a it didn't play as big a factor as I thought it did when I watched it live, because most of the time the play action passes were over that second, was behind the second level of defense anyway. Usually on a play action, you want to draw the linebackers up and throw behind them in front of the safety, right? It creates a bigger gap between the two. Most of the time with the play action, we weren't even attacking that area of the field. So it really wasn't, it might have slowed down the rush. It might have helped, the pass protection a little bit, but for the most part, it didn't really affect the passing game to me. All right. At least not the way I look at it when I want to use play action. But he's still dealing with the same limitations that he's dealt with basically the entire year. And again, I'm being that guy. I'm doing a real talk here, right? I didn't think the offense played that well for 3.5 quarters. They connected the big play to Waddle. They had a nice long drive, but that was really the only one in 3.5 quarters. And then they settled for a field goal. It wasn't horrible like some of the games that we saw this year, but it wasn't great. It was a nice solid effort. And if Buffalo was on their game and they were motivated and stuff like that, they probably would have been losing going into the fourth quarter with that type of effort. So,
yeah, and I think it was the second half when they came back and Josh Allen, kind of took over, and then that's when he threw that interception. Man, can you imagine if they would have scored at that point? That might have been a momentum change for the Buffalo Bills at that point.
well, yeah, no, absolutely. No, absolutely. That interception, killed him. His fumble on the sneak was
the fumble
just
too.
stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a dumb play. All right. A weird play that you hardly ever see in the NFL. And that was just one of those things. It was a couple of those things. And I don't want to take away from the defense at all. I thought the
Right.
defense I thought the
Yes.
defense played well. They created those turnovers, if you want to say it that way. But
Mhm.
again, looking at it from a coaching perspective, it was more mistakes Buffalo made than anything Miami did to the positive. And you win football games when that happens. So there's nothing
100%.
wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
winning that way. But I didn't think Miami's offense played a great game, and the defense was opportunistic.
Yes. And that's something that we haven't seen in this defense last year, at least. This year, they have been a little more opportunistic, and they've got more takeaways than they've had in a while. So I'm happy to see that. Um, Jack Jones had a good game. Um, let's talk about the defense. Anthony Weaver. We talked about the defense played, and I believe the defense played a lot better than the offense did. If you want to look at it that way. And do you think Anthony Weaver, did he do anything different? I mean, well, I did notice something different as a whole for the team. Is it looked like Mike McDaniel's a little more animated than he has been. I've seen him chest bumping and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, attitude seems like maybe there is an attitude shift. I don't know. But anyway, let's go back to Anthony Weaver. Do you think he did anything different? Or why was the defense playing better other than the fact that maybe, the Buffalo offense came out flat?
Well, I think a couple of things. I think the defensive tackles are playing better now at this point of the year than what they have in the past. Phillips and Grant have gotten better. Sealer.
Yeah.
Sealer is starting to see a little bit more space. I'll say it that way, right? Because they can't basically double team him and leave the other two just basically doing, being single block.
Yeah.
That happens when they start playing better. Sealer got his first sack, this year. So it's that kind of thing. They're holding up the offensive line better, allowing the linebackers to play more downhill. So the pass rush still isn't great.
Right.
And I don't know this, but just kind of looking at it from a coaching perspective, it looks like that the defensive line is more focused on, instead of penetrating and getting upfield, is basically preventing linemen from climbing to the linebacker spot, and it's allowing Brooks and everybody to make some more tackles. The other thing I think that he's doing a little bit differently, and I'd have to go back and watch some older games this year, but I think he's freeing up Minka to do a little bit more what I'll call freelancing, working within the structure defense, but being a little bit more aggressive. So like I said, I can't say that definitively, but yeah, I think so.
Evan says I'm so much taller than you. Thanks for checking in, Evan. I appreciate you, brother. Evan Posner from the Fence Talk Sports Network is in the house too. So I appreciate he's the partner on Overtime with Greg and sometimes Britt Legassi. So it's great to see Evan in there.
Well, I'm sitting down low because people don't want to see me. They want to see the stuff behind me. So that's what,
Yeah. But I'm actually 7'6" in my dreams. But I in what I see, Greg, and to your point is I do see them. I see the defense playing, especially the defense front, right? I see them playing more disciplined, right? I know in the beginning of the year it was mentioned by one of the players or that they were more or less freelancing, where now I see them more, as you said, more focused, more disciplined in that respect. And they've gotten better, right? I mean, they've kind of learned some of the tricks of the trade now. It's the ninth game. Well, they played 10 games. So they've learned a little more tricks of the trade now. They're probably, the speed of the game. They probably cut up to the speed of the game a little bit.
Yep.
So, and as you said, and that's going to help out Sealer, right? Because now they can't double team Sealer anymore. Now they've got to watch out for Jordan Phillips and Kenneth Grant. If they're
Yeah.
Jordan
It's
Phillips is a strong dude. Young guy. He's only 20 years old, but he's a powerful man.
yeah, no, and it just the fact that they're not getting blown off the ball like they were earlier in the year, and basically getting blocked into the laps of the linebackers has helped. All right, and you know, uh, Evans basically said Phillips was the problem. In a way, he was, because we just talked about it a little bit ago. Is that I think he was trying to do too much, and he was freelancing a little bit and creating gaps where Judon played, his position this week, and basically he wasn't rushing the passer. He wasn't really pressuring anybody, but he was holding up against the run, and he was, not creating artificial lanes for the running back to run through. There was some gap discipline there, and that comes with being a veteran player and understanding what your limitations are, in my opinion. So I don't think it's actually the defensive players are getting better, and I think that's freeing up Weaver to do a little bit different things scheme wise as well.
Yeah, and I also believe that I do believe in it. I'll go over these stats here. I think the secondary is playing a lot better. Whatever they did back there, I think they are playing somewhat better. And we'll go over some of these stats. And we play the Washington Commanders this week, and the Washington Commanders are really not that good on defense. But on total defense, the Miami Dolphins are ranked 24th. And the Commanders are down there at 30th. Passing defense. Here's where the improvement has helped out the Miami Dolphins, I believe. They're in the top 15. They're ranked 13th.
Yeah.
Pass defense is ranked 13th. I mean, they were way at the bottom in the beginning of the year. But whatever Weaver has done with the player personnel or adjustments or whatnot, it's working because they have improved. They're top 13. Commanders are 31st, man. They're way down there at the bottom. Rushing defense, Miami really hasn't improved that much. They have gone up, but they're still ranked 26th in rushing defense. The Commanders are 23rd, so not much better than the Dolphins in the rushing defense. So maybe Achane goes off the chain again this week. We'll see. Scoring defense. The Commanders are ranked 29th. They're allowing 28 points a game. The Dolphins are 24th. They're allowing 25 points a game, their defense. In the red zone, Miami's ranked 8th. They do well in the red zone. Commanders are 25th. And third down defense, the Dolphins are ranked 23rd. And the Commanders are 25th, relatively even. So I think this is they both have the same records, the 3-7. On offense and defense, they're kind of, I think Miami might have the edge in the running game, and maybe and now they definitely, Miami has the edge in the passing game because Mariota is the starting quarterback for the Commanders. I don't believe Jaden Daniels even made the trip to Madrid. So that's why I say I think Miami's going to have a great chance of winning this game, and I think they will.
We were talking about it pre-show a little bit. There's just no consistency here on this team, and all indications are Miami should win this game. All right, Miami's offense should have their way with this defense. Okay, you know, Baltimore's defense sucked when we played them too, and we scored 6 points. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, look, if Tua does not turn the ball over, okay, Miami should win. But he has made some of the worst reads, some of the dumbest throws of any pro quarterback that I've watched in a long, long time. All right. And if he does that again this week, they're in trouble. You know, we talked about a little bit, that Miami's a front running team. They need to be out in a lead early. They need to be up a couple touchdowns early. That allows their defense to play better. That allows their offense to basically take the ball out of Tua's hands. Okay. And just basically control the game and try to control it that way. And if they can do that here, that'll be great. My one concern about this game, if there is a big concern about it, is Mariota's ability to run the ball from the quarterback position.
Good point.
Extending plays and extending drives. All right. Miami struggles with those types of quarterbacks and those types of players. Even last week against Buffalo, when Josh Allen was extending plays, he didn't run that much, which was surprising to me in a way. I thought that he could run the ball more. Miami was giving him an opportunity to run more. Mariota's going to tuck it and run. So, but I also expect Mariota to make mistakes as well. So it's Miami should win this game. Miami should score points. They should put at least 24 up on the board. And if they do that, they should win the game. But I thought they'd score against Baltimore, and they didn't. I didn't think they'd score any points against Atlanta, and they did. All right,
Yeah,
they ended up scoring 30 against Buffalo, and if you'd have told me they would have scored, in the 20s against Buffalo, I'd have been shocked. Right? I mean, so there's no predicting with this team. There's no consistency. There's nothing to hang on to say, yeah, this is definitely going to happen. So.
Yeah,
win.
You're right.
I'm predicting they'll win, but if they lose, by 20, I wouldn't be surprised by that either.
Yeah, and based on the way this year went or has been going with the Miami Dolphins, I agree with you. They're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean, you don't know who you're going to get from week to week, and 1 week you're like, wait a minute, I didn't see this happening, then the other week you're like, oh man, they're playing out of this world, so it's really hard to predict this year. It really is. And the reason for that too is because there's been some injuries to Burrow, to Jaden Daniels. Who else? There was another quarterback. Well, we didn't know if Lamar Jackson was going to play that game. So, and I know a lot of folks say it's a team game, but let me tell you something. In my opinion, quarterback matters, especially now. The quarterback matters big time, So anyway, yeah, I'm just happy that the Miami Dolphins beat the Buffalo Bills. They've just been dominating us for the last few years. I know in 23 we did beat them, and we did put up a good fight. The time we went up to play them in their home field, we did well up there. So I wasn't surprised, that we beat them. I didn't think we were. I predicted the score to be 27-24. I thought it was going to be a really hard, fight to the end. But Miami took over, and as you said, and once they take the lead, once Miami's ahead by 10, 15 points or whatever, I'm pretty confident that they can continue scoring and win the game. It's when they get behind is when I get get a little scared about them losing. So they've got to come out in this game. They've got to take the lead. And I agree with Evan. He said that, win the coin toss, go down there, score, take the lead, especially against the Washington Commanders. I think if they take the lead early, that this game is going to be out of hand for the Washington Commanders, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see if Dan Quinn does something special for Jalen Waddle in the passing game. I you have to contain him in the passing game on Miami's. Make Malik Washington, make somebody else make a play to beat you. So I'm interested to see if they do anything like that, and then I'm interested to see how well Miami runs the ball against this team, because they're going to be without their starting defensive tackle.
That's right. Yep.
And, they got injuries all over the place, and let's do what we did last week. All right, against Buffalo. Let's run more than we pass. Let's try to keep Tua below 25 passes in the game. And if they do that, they're probably going to win. If Tua gets into the 30s in the passes attempts, it's probably not going to be, it's probably not going to end well for Miami at that point.
Yeah, and especially if they get behind, they've got to keep the lead up in order for them to win this game, I think. And that's any team they play, 9 times out of 10. They've got to have that lead in order to, for this offense to function and a defense, to play complementary football for sure.
Yep.
Greg, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight on the Real Talk Fins Talk Sports Network. It's been really, really great. I always like having you on here. And we'll see what happens, man. Maybe we come back with a win again next week, and we'll get that hopium shot again.
We'll get another hopium shot. That's all we can ask for, right?
Yeah, at this point in time, yeah, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining tonight in the chat. I appreciate you all. Please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, share with your, hit the bell down there, then share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And you know what? I'm in the mood for saying this tonight, Greg. Remember, Dolphins #1, baby. Dolphins #1. Wow. Hey, there you are.
All right.
Man, that intro and outro is short. I gotta talk to Bobby about that.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was expecting a 60-second countdown, and then all of a sudden we're on. I'm like, well,
yeah,
okay, here we go.
Yeah, it shocked me. So I gotta find out what's going on with that. But anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, Greg, thank you, man, for joining tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Evan said we're still live.
What? Let me end the stream again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about that.
We did not end the show. Here we go.